Have you ever stopped to think about the real story behind the food on your plate? It's it's so much more than what you see on the label. There's this massive global system humming along in the background. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We're going to look at the hard numbers, the true bottom line cost of the meat industry.
Okay, I want to start with just one number, 85 billion. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. It's so big it's almost impossible to picture, right? So what on earth could this number represent? Well, this single figure, it's the key. It's the key to unlocking the whole system we're about to dive into. So what is the story behind 85 billion? Let's actually unpack this thing, starting with the most basic question. What exactly is it counting? That number, 85 billion, that's the estimated count of land animals, chickens, pigs, cows, and more, that are bred and then killed for us to eat all around the world. And get this, that's not over a decade, it's not over a lifetime, that's every single year.
Okay, so if that's the sheer number of animals we're talking about, the next obvious question has to be, what about their lives? I mean, what kind of existence do these billions and billions of creatures actually have? Let's take a look inside the system that produces them.
And here's where the scale of this just gets, kind of shocking. The source material shows that a full 3/4 of them, that's the overwhelming majority of those 85 billion animals, are raised in what we call intensive animal farming, or, what most people call factory farming.
So what does that really mean, factory farming? Well, it's a system that's all about one thing, maximum output. And in that system, the animal's most basic needs often just aren't met. We're talking about things like laying hens in cages so small they literally can't spread their wings, or pigs kept in these really restrictive stalls, and meat chickens packed by the thousands into huge windowless sheds.
But the impact of this whole system, it goes way, way beyond the animals themselves. It also puts this incredible strain on our planet, on its finite resources.
Just think about this for a second. A full 3/4, 75% of all the agricultural land on the entire planet is used just to support livestock. That includes all the land they graze on, plus the huge, vast fields that are used to grow their food, like all that soy and corn.
And here's the really crucial point. The whole system is just incredibly inefficient. Think about it. You've got this enormous input, 75% of our farmland, but the output, the actual calories that we humans get from the animal products, it's only a tiny fraction of the world's total. It's a massive investment of resources for a really, really small return.
And it's not just land either. Water is another huge piece of the puzzle. The source material shows that producing meat and milk uses up around 40% of all the fresh water used for irrigation across the entire globe. 40%. That is a massive amount of water.
So this brings us to what you might call the final layer of these hidden costs. Because when you look past the animals themselves and past the resources like land and water, you find these really severe, direct consequences for our environment.
Yeah, the source actually identifies animal agriculture as a primary driver of some of our absolute biggest environmental challenges. For one, it produces huge amounts of greenhouse gases, but it's also cited as one of the most significant factors behind species extinction, behind the destruction of our soil, and, water pollution too.
And this is where we get to the real paradox at the heart of all this. Despite this incredibly high price we're paying for the animals, for our land, for our water, and for the environment as a whole, the amount of meat eaten per person in many countries has actually been going up. The demand just keeps growing.
So when you put all these pieces together, right? The mind-boggling scale, the conditions for the animals, the massive use of resources, the environmental damage, what's the final takeaway? What does this balance sheet really tell us at the end of the day?
Well, the source material comes to a pretty powerful conclusion. It says, and I'm quoting here, "A fundamental change in our eating habits is urgently needed." Essentially, based on all the evidence we've just looked at, the argument is that the sheer scale of this system is just overwhelming our planet and, at the same time, causing an incredible amount of suffering.
And so, this leaves us with one final, really unavoidable question. After seeing all the data, from the lives of 85 billion animals to the health of our entire planet, it really all just boils down to this. What price are we, are you, willing to pay?